Okay, very important topic that we spoke and we touched upon last week. Last week, we spoke about the importance of having a Mashgiach Kashrut. Why is it that you need to have a Mashgiach Kashrut? Maybe it's enough to walk into a restaurant or to any other place that sells you any food, for instance, a caterer. And if you know the person that is a religious person, you don't need to have Mashgiach Kashrut. Why do you need to have Mashgiach Kashrut? We dwelled into the Sugya, Machloket, the Shulchan Aruch, and the Rema. If you can rely on somebody that has no Cheskat Kashrut, but he's not a Chashud. What does it mean, Cheskat Kashrut? Which means you don't have basic knowledge about him. That's what the Aruch HaShulchan explains. That he prays in Shul, he's Maniach Tfilin, he sends his children to Talmud Torah. If you know that, that's good enough. That's considered a kosher person, and you can rely on such a person. And according to the Shulchan Aruch, you don't even need that. As long as he's not Chashud, you're allowed to go and eat by him in his restaurant, in his grocery, whatever it is. According to the Rema takes it a step higher. He says that you need to have that Cheskat Kashrut that I just explained right now. Today, the poskim say that you need to have Cheskat Kashrut, even according to the Shulchan Aruch, and you need to have a Hashgacha. And there's different reasons why you need to have a Hashgacha. We spoke in length, mamash in length, if anybody wants to hear it. We said different opinions, whether it was a takana of Arba Aratzot with a Igeret, whether it's the opinion of Belsky that explains that whenever you are in a place that is a caterer or somebody that sells to the public, there's always a lot of, it's very tense, and things could get mixed up and mistakes could happen, and easily things can go wrong, and because of that, you'll need to have a hashgacha. Others say different reasons for the purpose of hashgacha. We spoke about that in length. Today, we want to speak about a Mashgiach Kashrut that you'll find, most common Mashgiach Kashrut. Who's the most common Mashgiach Kashrut that you'll find? You're saying a OU. Any other suggestions? More common, much more common. The Mashgiach Kashrut. Mashgiach Kashrut that you'll find that's extremely common and has a very big obligation and responsibility, as we'll see right now, is every wife in her kitchen. Every wife in her kitchen is a Mashgiach Kashrut. She is the one that's providing the food. She's not any different than a Mashgiach Kashrut in a hall, in a wedding hall. On the contrary, if anything, it's much worse, because a Mashgiach in a hall is Mashgiach in such a way that it's Mashgiach for others. Over here, she's giving for her own family. And because of that, she's the children that she's raising. If you give them something that's not kosher, we know the effect. I have a shiur that explains the effect of the food on a person. If you're eating something that's not kosher, then your kids can't understand Torah in yeshiva, and you go and you speak to the Rebbe and you speak to the Menal, and you complain and you cry and you say, why is that? And you even pray and you go to shul and you say you finish the Tehillim and you don't understand why it is. And it's openly in Chazal and in the Torah that when you eat something that's not kosher, it's metamtem alev. It clogs your understanding, spiritual understanding. Then the kid goes to yeshiva and everybody else understands the Gemara and the reading and it's fluent. And he just doesn't get it. He don't get it. What's going on over here? And he comes back home and he tells mommy, I don't understand. Well, everybody will learn. Okay. After a while, they try to find him help. They try to find him a different school. That's the way it is. But we need to understand that there's an effect on the food. And when we're talking about the Mashgiach Kashrut in a house, she's feeding her husband. Her husband is the one that's leading the house. Spirituality leading. Besides everything else. But he's coming home and he's spreading the Torah and he's saying what he learns and he comes on Shabbat. And if she's giving him something that's poisonous to his spirituality, then don't complain afterwards when things don't go wrong. Oh, my husband, he doesn't have time to learn. He doesn't have interest. He doesn't say any Torah on the table right after the children fall asleep. Well, that's already because of the children. But even without the children, before I feed him the children, he's not interested. Why is that? It could very much be, according to what the Torah says, according to what the Chazal say, according to the Zohar, according to Rambam, according to Or Chaim HaKadosh. Many sources. Extremely important to know that the food has that influence. If anybody wants to hear it, we have a shiur explaining that in details. And today we want to speak about this Mashgiach Kashrut that all of us have in a house called a wife or a mother. This is important, Mashgiach Kashrut. Now, that Mashgiach Kashrut has 3 things, just like any other Mashgiach Kashrut has to have. What are those 3 things that a Mashgiach must have in order to make sure that the food is kosher? One is a certain level of Yirat Shamayim. As we explained before, it needs to have Chizkat Kashrut. It needs to be a certain level of Yirat Shamayim. That means that when you go to the store and you buy something, if you have no Yirat Shamayim, you find something a little bit cheaper, you grab it. You have something along the way that seems to be more delicious and it's going to fit your recipe better, you grab it. Something goes wrong in the kitchen, no, you close an eye and let it go. You already worked on this for 3, 4, 5 hours. What are you going to do? What are you going to do now? Throw the whole dish? My husband is coming in half an hour home. The kids are coming home. They need to eat. That's Yirat Shamayim. Secondly, Mashgiach Kashrut has to have the basic knowledge in halakha. If you don't know what you're looking for, you could have the biggest Yirat Shamayim in the world, but you don't know the basics. So you come to the table, and you have right now things that could go wrong, and you don't even know. You go to the store to shop, and you're buying things that could be that they're not kosher. You don't even know. It has hashgacha. It could be that those hashgachot don't apply over here, don't apply there, they're not as good. You're buying all kind of things that are infested. And you think it's good. You're buying things that could be that they're good, but when you put them with something else, it clashes, it's no good. You look at the ingredients, there's places in the world, I told you about this, that they don't have kashrut. What do? They go to the supermarket. If they see the ingredients doesn't have anything that they don't recognize, it doesn't look like something no good, they buy it. I saw people like that they came from other places in the world, and they had a candy box, and it doesn't have kashrut. They offered me a candy. I'm like, okay, where's the kashrut? He says, no, all the ingredients, I know them. So that's good enough. Is it good enough? 1 minute. When you're buying something, you have so many different issues that could be in that item that you're buying that could be problematic, and it's not going to show you in the ingredients. Why is that? First of all, you have things that are less than 2%, and all you have to write in the ingredients is things that are 2% or more. If it's less than 2%, you don't have to write it by law. Halachically, 1 out of 60 that we hold that it's not kosher, it's less than that 2%. Secondly, there's things that are called ma'amid, that we need to learn. What is ma'amid? I don't know. If you don't know, you can't be a Mashgiach Kashrut. Ya Habibi, you're going to get a Mashgiach Kashrut job. And if the person that's hiring you is an honest, truthful person, he'll ask you basic things. But what's a ma'amid? What's a ma'amid? Never heard of that. Okay? Davar charif. Davar charif could be there. Davar ma'amid is not batel afilu be'elef. Davar charif is not batel afilu be'elef. Could be that box of food that you're buying has that. You don't know what it is. You look at him in a puzzled face. It's a problematic. It's an issue. How could you be a mashgiach? How could you take a responsibility when you don't know the basics? It could be that thing that you're buying has a problem of bishul akum and so on. Afiyat akum. Afiyat akum maybe is less of a problem somewhere. Sometimes it could be mekel, but bishul akum and so on and so forth. Very various things that could be problematic. So a woman has to have, as a Mashgiach Kashrut, the knowledge and the Yirat Shamayim, but she also has to have responsibility, which means sometimes a person has the two things. He has the Yirat Shamayim and he has the knowledge. But it doesn't have, he's a lenient person, it doesn't mean that it goes hand in hand, Yirat Shamayim and the responsibility. It's a certain character trait, it's a certain midah that I have responsibility. I have something in front of me and I need to know it's mutar, it's asur. Now it comes to the kitchen, it could be that I bought everything with the best hashgachot, but things in the kitchen don't go right. I put things in the wrong way, I make a taref. I had a cleaning lady, a woman that's not Jewish that helped me cook, could be that it made it bishul akum. Okay, so you call the rabbi, he tells you it's no good, you throw it out. 1 minute, what about the pot that she was cooking it, the pan, she made eggs. Many people don't even occur to them that, she has a cleaning lady a whole day. She has a woman in the house helping her out in all different ways. So she needs to cook for herself. She only cooks the eggs to herself. She eats the eggs, not us. So what's the problem with that? Is there a problem? Why should there be a problem? Most people will tell you, of course not. She's cooking for herself. She cleans the pot, all good. The truth is, eggs is considered bishul akum. She cooked in your pot or your pan something that became bishul akum, which means your pan became right now treif. And most people don't know it. Do you know that the poskim, it's a problem to leave your cleaning lady home alone? There's ways to be lenient, but you need to know the basic halachot, when to be lenient and when not. So you need to have those three things. Now, when you have those three things, it's something that comes with a lot of knowledge. It's not enough that you take things lenient and you don't know those things. It used to be previous generations that women were very knowledgeable, and therefore they didn't need to go and learn in depth. You don't need to be a Talmid Chacham and know the entire halachot of basar v'chalav and get semicha in order to cook in the kitchen. But you have to know certain level of halachot. So because of that, the Rema brings down in halacha in Shulchan Aruch Siman Resh Mem Vav that a woman has that responsibility. Chayevet isha lilmod dinim ashayachim leisha. It's halacha in Shulchan Aruch. A woman is obligated to learn the laws that apply to a woman. Even more so if they apply to a woman in the kitchen or on Shabbat. What are you doing wrong that you could be mechalel Shabbat and you're feeding your husband and your children and your guests things that you didn't even think that could be problematic? This halacha in Shulchan Aruch. And now you'll find many sources that bring that down. First of all, a famous Gemara in Chagigat Daf Gimel. The Gemara says about the pasuk, Hakel et ha'am ha'anashim anashim v'ataf. There's a mitzvah of hakel, which is after the 7th year, every 7th year, in the end of the 7th year, on Chag HaSukkot, the entire nation would come to Yerushalayim to hear the king reading the Torah, Mishneh Torah, and they would also learn over there. Why would they come? Says the Gemara, Anashim ba'im lilmod. Men come to learn. Nashim ba'ot lishmoa. Women come to hear. What do they come to hear? They hear the halachot that apply to them. Tosfot says, mitzvah lehem lishmoa kedei lekayem hamitzvot. If you don't know how you're supposed to be mekayem hamitzvot, you must know. The Gemara in Sanhedrin Tzadik Dalet says, שבימי חזקיהו המלך, בדקו מדן ועד באר שבע, לא מצאו איש ואישה, תינוק ותינוקת שלא היו בקיאים בהלכות טומאה וטהרה. Why? טומאה וטהרה used to apply to them. So every woman, even children, knew all the Ilchot Tumah v'Tahara, which are extremely hard. That today there's Yechidim Bador that know. They used to know them because it applies to them, so they had to know. The Sefer Hasidim brings down in Shin Yud Gimel that Chayav Adam lelamed et bnotav hamitzvot hashayachot lahem. It's an obligation to teach your daughters, to teach the women, to teach your wives the laws that apply to them. Piskei Ilchot Shabbat v'chayotze bazeh. And what Chazal say that המלמדת ביתו תורה כאילו לימדת tiflut, which means the halacha in Resh Mem Vav brings down that learning sometimes, teaching a woman sometimes, is not a positive thing, it's a negative thing. But that's only, says the Sefer Hasidim, and the Shulchan Aruch says like that's only Omek HaTalmud v'Sodot HaTorah. If she has to learn the Gemara, if she has to learn the Torah Shebe'al Peh in depth, that is something that is a negative thing, it's better not. But a mitzvot, says the Sefer Hasidim, tzarich lelamda שאם לא תדע הלכות שבת, איך תשמור שבת כהלכתו? וכן כל המצוות שמחויבות בהם. And this is what we see from that, from Chizkiyahu, and from this, Akel et Ha'am. So very important to understand that. Now, sometimes you have a wife that big yirat shamayim, and she has all the things that we explained right now. She has the knowledge, she has the responsibility, she has everything. But her husband is not such. She has a husband that's not so careful. It's called the Chashud. Kashrut is something problematic. You have to understand. When we learn, where do we learn the whole halachot that you can rely on a person? You have a person that's telling you that something's kosher. You're allowed to eat. He tells you, come, I have something for you. I have a piece of chicken. Come, let's eat. Who made this? I made it. My wife made it. No problem. Let's eat it. How could you rely on the person saying that? Maybe it's not kosher. How could you rely on that? He tells you that this pizza is kosher. You know how many things would be in pizza that are not kosher? So many different things. He tells you it's kosher. How do you know you can rely on him? The Gemara says in Gitin Daf Bet and in Chulin Daf Yud, V'safra la le'atzma, which means we rely on a woman. V'safra la, whatever she says, that is the halacha, and we don't have any questions. This is the halacha, and she's 100% reliable with that. That is the opinion of Rashi. Tosfot says a different opinion, different reason. He says that the reason we rely on one ed, one witness, one person that tells you what it is, because we see the Torah permitted people to offer others food. Trumot, Masrot could be problematic. Shchita could be problematic. V'shachatet ben abakar, and you can eat from it. V'zavachta kasher tziviticha, and you could eat from it. Says Tosfot, if you would have to put edim every time somebody offers you something, how the Torah says such things? Rather, you see that the Torah doesn't obligate you to go and put over there witnesses to see that he shechted correctly and he koshered, he salted the meat and he koshered the fruits with the trumot umazon. You don't need any of that. Why? Ed echad ne'eman b'isurim. That is all true, Ed echad ne'eman b'isurim, that we learn from a wife, from a woman. A woman, this is learned from a woman, which means she has that, she's the model of somebody that has that responsibility, and we give her the full cheskat kashrut, just based on her words. She said it's kosher, finish. Whatever she says, v'safra la, it's good enough from here to learn ed echad ne'eman b'isurim from her. But she can also lose that cheskat kashrut by either lying or by making a serious mistake, which means if a woman doesn't know what she's doing, of course she doesn't have cheskat kashrut. If a woman doesn't know the basic things, of course she doesn't have cheskat kashrut. But what happens if a woman has cheskat kashrut and a husband doesn't? He's a chashud. If she's a chashud, oy va'avoy, you can't eat over there. It's a problem. It's a serious problem. That's why I'm saying it's so important that this Mashgiach called a wife should have all these things that we're speaking to right now. It's not something that she can take lightly. But what happens if she does have and the husband doesn't? We found a Kaf HaChaim in Siman Kuf Yutet Chet. He says like this: "Achashud le'echol dvarim asurim ve'yesh lo isha yirat Hashem." The husband is somebody who's chashud. The wife has yirat shamayim. V'hi mashgicha al hamidbach. She's responsible on the kitchen. It's her authority over there. She takes care of it. She's a mashgiach, she's a tafi. Outside, she's the sweetest. Comes to the kitchen. Hey, what's this? Where'd you buy this from? Let me see. No good. In the garbage. So that's who she is. היא משגיחה על המטבח לבלתי להיות שם עירוב מאכלות אסורות. נראה שמותר להתארח בביתם ולאכול מסעודתם. It's always a question. Somebody offers you to come to their house for Shabbat meal. Right? You're out of town, or Bachurim in Yeshiva, and somebody tells you, Tfaddal, come to me on Shabbat. So you say, of course. Then you start having doubts. 1 minute, I'm going to him for Shabbat. I don't know anything about him. Is it kosher? Is it not kosher? Do they know? Even if they buy kosher, I know that they bought kosher. Sometimes they tell you, listen, my wife buys everything from that store. It's all glatt with all the best tachsherim. So you feel good? Oh, Baruch Hashem. But 1 minute. That is true. But what happens in the kitchen? Are the pots kosher? Are the oven kosher? The ingredients kosher? Sometimes you can make the ingredients treif. Sometimes you can make the spices treif. Sometimes you can make your urn treif. All kind of things that could go wrong in the kitchen. If you don't know, so you go to such a person and you need to. So normally we say that if a person looks like a Adam kasher and you don't have any it doesn't look like suspicion you don't see suspicion in any way. You don't see that it's Amaretz. So then you could let it go. What happened in such a scenario? The wife is a Mashgichat Kashrut in the kitchen. By the way, can a woman be Mashgichat Kashrut overall? Can a woman serve as Machzikat Kashrut? As Mashgichat Kashrut? There's machloket in that. Rav Moshe, in Yored Abet, Siman Mem Daled, was asked about this very question. He says that there was a almana, she lost her husband who was a mashgiach, and this was the parnasah. Now, after her husband passed away, and she has expenses of the house, children, she wants to keep his job as a mashgiach kashrut. Can she keep the job as a mashgiach kashrut? Says Rav Moshe, אם בדבר אלמנה יש תלמיד חכם אשר היה משגיח על כשרות ונשארה בלא כלום, ואין לה במה לפרנס את בניה היתומים, ובאשר אישה צנועה, this Rav Moshe permits it, but under those conditions. First of all, אישה צנועה, ויראת השם. So she has יראת שמיים, what we spoke before, we said יראת שמיים. והיא חכמה ונבונה. The second thing that we said, she's חכמה and נבונה. Second thing was what? She needs to know the halachot. If she doesn't know the halachot, of course, you come to get a job and you come to apply for a job. What do you want to be? You want to be an engineer. You come to the job and you come meet the boss and he tells you, give me your resume. Talk to me first. Let's talk. So tell me about your past. Oh, don't worry about it. I was working as a manager in a school, and then I was working as a salesman in a store. What's shayachut to here? You don't have the tools to know what's going on over here. It's not something that you can, it's not for you at all. So over here she has to be chachama unevona. She has to know the business. And thirdly, ba'alat achrayut. She has responsibility. All the three things that we mentioned before. אשר יש לסמוך עליה שהיא תהיה בעלת, תחת בעלה, להשגיח ויהיה לה מזה הפרנסה עבורה ועבור בעלה. And Rav Moshe goes to explain the B'shat Chak you could be matir, and not everybody agrees with Rav Moshe. There's Rav Menashe Klein that says not like him. There's other poskim that don't agree. But this was Rav Moshe Feinstein. So Rav Moshe Feinstein was matir. But under those things that we're explaining right now, if she's mashgiach in your house, which we said that it's much more strict. It's much more strict also for many other reasons, because the mashgiach, mashgiach also has that aspect of fear. It's called mirtat, which means the people that he's looking over also has mirtat. They have fear. That's his purpose, to bring fear to the place, seriousness to the place. Because you have goyim working, and they could make mistake, and they don't care to make mistakes. And sometimes they get an interest to make mistake. It cuts corner. They don't have to work as hard. They don't have to check so much. They let it go. So Mashgiach is there to show that if you don't, you're fired. You're not getting paid. But a Mashgiach also have to have some kind of fear like that from the boss, the Hashgacha that's on top of him. Because if he doesn't do the job correctly, so the Hashgacha on top of him will get back to him. And the Hashgacha on top of him also have fear. Who they fear? Well, if you fear Hashem, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because Chachamim say that Alevad she'em mora basar v'adam ke'mora shamayim. If we rely on somebody that fears Hashem, take it with a lot of precaution. But they fear who? They fear the customer. Because if the customer knows that this is a wishy-washy hashgacha, you're out of business. You go now to the reforms to be a mashgiach over there. So everybody has, the customer is feared from Hashem. He doesn't have to go by with hashgacha. He has the hashgacha, he has the fear from Hashem. But we see over here that such a thing would work if you have the what we call mirtat. That's why it works with when you don't have any problems in a place. You could be nichnas v'yotze, which means you come in and you could go out. You come in, you go out, and you see what's happening. And people know that you can come in any second, so they behave, they do the right things. That's the way hashgacha works. Unless you see a person already made mistakes, so then the hashgachot will put mashgiach tmidi. You stay here, the mashgiach, and you watch all time. We don't let you go out. That's it. You stay here. So now let's go back to what I told you before. Kaf HaChaim says that you have a wife that's yirat shamayim, but on the other hand, the husband is such a person that's called a chashud. נראה שמותר להתארח בביתם ולאכול מסעודתם. You hear that? As long as the wife, which is the Mashgiach, she's Yirat Shamayim, you can go there. Why? בת חבר או אשת חבר שניסו לעם הארץ, הרי הם בחזקת כשרות עד שיחשדו. זאת גמרא, אין עבודה זרה ל"ט. As long, even though she's married לעם הארץ, but as long as she still has the חזקת כשרות, you can eat in her house, no problem. The husband is such, you see that you're sitting with him. He doesn't care about anything, but she does. You can eat. You see the level that a wife holds, that as long as she's not nichshedet, as long as we don't have suspicion on her, beautiful, excellent. You can eat by her house. וכן פסק הרמב"ם, and this is what, listen to this, Rav Chaim Falaji says in רוח חיים, שראה לכמה יראי שמיים שאינם נזהרים לעשות סעודה בבית החשוד לאכול, they go, people that are יראי שמיים, rabbis, they go to eat ביחשוד לאכול. You see him eating by non-kosher restaurants. They come to his house and they eat by his house. If he doesn't eat kosher himself, you're going to eat kosher in his house? How is that possible? Says the רוח חיים, אם אשתו צדקת וזהירה הרבה שאין חשש דליס ואיסורה, לאינשה, it's permitted. You know when you can rely on this? If you know the wife. Sometimes the husband is a nobody, but the wife, חשובה, יראת שמיים, צדקת, good enough. From all this that we learn, and there's much, much, much more, you have to know that the mitzvah of Talmud Torah that we explained, that's why a woman says the beracha, the brachot of Talmud Torah. Why she says the brachot of Talmud Torah? The poskim explain it's because she's obligated to learn those mitzvot that apply to her. It's you have over here the obligation to learn and know and to apply whatever you know. You have a responsibility to have the Yirat Shamayim that we explained, and you have the responsibility to be responsible. Yes?
So what about the idea of the fact that women are easily persuaded, as the Torah holds, that they're easily persuaded? So who's going to persuade them more than a husband that doesn't care?
Right.
About
Right. This concept was said not in Hilchot Kashrut. So sometimes the Yetzer Hara is so strong, also for men. We found that even Gdolei Ador, the Gemara was speaking about Gdolim Shebagdolim, that sometimes in certain things, the Yetzer Hara comes in so strong, full force, that they could fall. But it wasn't said on Hilchot Kashrut that you don't have such a Yetzer Hara. It's a certain laziness. When you have a responsibility, you have to put yourself together and know that the laziness should be put to the side and you have to do what you have to do. Any more questions? I'm scared.
There's not a lady who's running a hashgacha. The question with the
not running hashgacha. As a mashgiachat kashrut.
Work as a mashgiach.
Yes, she's not running hashgacha. There's an aspect of srara that Rav Moshe speaks about. Can you apply srara to a woman? That's another question. But hashgacha, to be a mashgicha, to see that everything is done correctly, and we see that halacha lemaaseh. And telling you again, every woman is a mashgicha in her own house. So that applies to every woman is a mashgichat kashrut. And she has to know what she's buying, what she's bringing home, how she's cooking it, what utensils she's using, what the oven that she has, and how she feeds it on the table. Sometimes you put it in the table, you're already messing things up. You put meat on something that's dairy. You put meat for one child and you give cereal to the other child, it's on the same table. That's not allowed. You have to know how to, on Shabbat, so many different halachot. If you don't know, you can't be a Mashgiach Kashrut. If you can't be a Mashgiach Kashrut, go eat by somebody else until you know the laws. The Mishnah Berurah says, why is it that whatever you don't know, you say she'akol? He says, the Mishnah Berurah, of course you don't say she'akol if you don't know what the bracha is or something. If you don't know, go and learn what it is. Yilech lechacham ve'ilmad. When do you say she'akol? When after you investigated and you asked and everything and you found that there's no answer to this question, which means you did your best to your ability. Or if you live in a deserted island without a phone to call anybody and you don't know what's the bracha, only then. But if you have the ability to find out, don't eat, lo yochal, don't eat. Stay hungry, go find out. Chazak v'ruch.